Hello, I'm excited. My name is Rainer, this is my channel Rainier Books, and today I'm going to make a video to announce my first participation in a ReadEHthon, and this ReadEHthon is called ReadEHthon. And that's one thing I learned about Canadian English, is that you can sound Canadian. Somebody said in a YouTube video, you can sound Canadian if you just add a to every kind of sentence, like, how's the weather, Should we go out, Well, doesn't matter. There is a ReadEHthon, and I'm totally pumped, I'm totally motivated, and I can't wait to start the ReadEHthon. Let's get started. Well, I was sort of notified about the ReadEHthon by Sean the Book Maniac, because I saw his video, I think a couple of days ago, where he's a Canadian living in Japan, and obviously he's going to take part in the ReadEHthon. The ReadEHthon is hosted by 8 Canadian booktubers, and I saw the video, and I also read the blog post by Kayla from Books and Lala. And together with her amazing colleagues, I'm going to link them all down below in the description, but please bear with me if I read them now from my paper here. So it's Kayla from Books and Lala, it's Njeri, it's Paige, Jill, Natasha, Janani, Rui, and Zoe. These 8 wonderful booktubers are hosting the ReadEHthon, which is going to take place from August 3 to August 9, a whole week, where we all are going to read Canadian books, all of us who are participating in this. And this is my first ReadEHthon. I always wanted to take part, but I waited for the right opportunity, for the right theme, because I like Canada, I like Canadian literature. That's why I thought I have to be on this. They have created a chart, sort of a bingo chart with some things. I have to look it up. Now it comes a little light here on my screen, which comes into my face. They have a bingo chart. For example, a book by an Indigenous author, a story about a loving relationship, a book from a Canadian publisher, nature on the cover, things like that we are supposed to check for, to find books with that, and book with a nature on the cover. And here I start with my first read. This is going to be Emily St. John Mandel's novel, The Glass Hotel. The Glass Hotel was published in 2020. It is a book actually from this year, and it would have been eligible for the Booker Prize long list, but it didn't got there. This is a book. Vincent is a bartender at a 5-star hotel on the northernmost tip of Vancouver Island. On the night she meets Jonathan Alcides. A hooded figure scrawls a message on the lobby's glass wall: "Why don't you swallow broken glass?" A year later, Alcides and Vincent are living together as husband and wife. Meanwhile, high above Manhattan, a greater crime is committed. Alcides is running an international Ponzi scheme, moving imaginary sums of money through clients' accounts. The collapse of his financial empire is as swift as it is devastating. Lives, families, and countless fortunes are obliterated, and Vincent disappears. A captivating story of love, greed, and ghosts. And The Glass Hotel takes us from the skyscrapers of Manhattan to the open oceans, showing the infinite ways we search for meaning in our lives. This is The Glass Hotel, and this is a book with nature on the cover. As you can see, there is a lake, and there's a little small island on that lake. This is my first book in my ReadEHthon. The second box that I could check on the bingo chart that Kayla from Books and Lala and her friends have created was pretty easy for me to check, because it says like select a book that has a setting in a province that you haven't visited yet. And since I have only visited one province in Canada, and that was British Columbia, 2 years ago, I was in Vancouver and in Whistler, there are many provinces that I haven't visited. So I decided to get myself another read, the second book in my life that I'm going to read by Canadian Scotia Giller Prize winner Elizabeth Hay. And this is called Alone in the Classroom. Alone in the Classroom. I think it was published in... all books are from my shelves because I'm not allowed to buy new books yet. This was published, my edition was published by MacLehose Press, Quercus, London, England, apparently in 19... Hold on a second. So this, the edition that I have here was published in... It was first published in Canada in 2012, and this is called Alone in the Classroom. This takes us back in time. In a small prairie school in 1929, Connie Flood helps a backwoods student, Michael Graves, learn how to read. Observing them and darkening their lives is the principal, Polly Burns, whose strange behavior culminates in an attack so disturbing its repercussions are still felt to the present day. Connie's niece, Anne, tells the story. Impelled by curiosity about her dynamic, adventurous aunt and her more conventional mother, she revisits Connie's past and her mother's broken childhood. In the process, she unravels the enigma of Polly Burns and the mysterious deaths of two young girls. As the novel deepens, the triangle of principal, teacher, student opens out into our other emotional triangles: aunt, niece, lover, mother, daughter, granddaughter, until a sudden capsizing love thrusts Anne herself into a newly independent life. This spellbinding tale set in Saskatchewan, and the Ottawa Valley crosses generations and cuts to the bone. It pushes the roots of obsessive love and hate and celebrates the process of becoming who we are in a world full of startling connections that lie just out of sight. This is by Elizabeth Hay, the wonderful author of Late Nights on Air. That's the book that I have read from her and that I really loved so much. My second pick for the ReadEHthon. The third pick is, I have 6 here. Oh my God. Third pick is from, I followed, yes, a novel set in a province that you have visited. And as I told you, the only province that I have visited is the province of British Columbia. And I was in the city of Vancouver, which is the largest city on the west coast in Canada. And so I bought me a book in Seattle. Actually, I bought the book. I remember that pretty well. 2 years ago, when we came down from Vancouver to Seattle, I didn't buy it in Canada. I bought it in the United States for $26.99. And this is the first detective novel, Invisible Dead, by Sam Weeb. And I actually would have finished this novel long before if there wouldn't have been an accident. Because once when I was walking together with a book. No, I had the book in my rucksack on my back, and I was walking somewhere and I also had a bottle of water. And when I arrived at my destination, I realized that the water had spilled out in the rucksack and also totally almost destroyed the book, and it took months to dry. And now wonderfully this book has dried and I can read it. Yeah, I really can read it. And I find some tickets here outside. This is a boarding pass from Stockholm to... Where did I go? It doesn't say. I went to Umeå here in northern Sweden. Interesting. And I also have a ticket from a museum inside that book. Do you have things in your book? Please drop me a comment down below. We were at the... yeah, that's a beautiful souvenir actually. July 2nd, 2018. I was in the exhibition Double Exposure at the SAM, which is the Seattle Art Museum, which is very recommendable if you ever come to Seattle. But now about Sammy Weeb's novel Invisible Dead. This is about disappearing woman, a woman who has disappeared in the downtown east side of Vancouver. and a guy named Wakeland, I think Dave Wakeland is his name, he is investigating as a private detective this disappearance. And this has something to do with the reality as well, because the downtown east side in Vancouver is one of the most crime-infested areas probably in northern American cities. And at a time some 10, 15, 20 years ago, lots of women disappeared from the downtown east side and were murdered by a guy named Picton, I believe. And this book has, of course, got something from that. Sam Wiebe is a very successful author. He has written a couple of novels, crime novels with this guy, Dave Wakeland. This was the first one, Invisible Dead. And he also is the editor of a collection of noir stories from Vancouver. I think it's called Vancouver Noir. I'm going to link it down below. Sam Wiebe, Invisible Dead. And I think also this has a Canadian publisher, which would check another box. It was published by Quercus in New York, it says here. Okay, sorry. I think The Immigrant Story was another box to check. Yes, bingo. It says, and I decided to read Madeleine Thien's novel, I want to get it right, Docks at the Perimeter. Docks at the Perimeter by Madeleine Thien is my pick number 3 for the ReadEHthon. This is a novel that also has to do with a country that have been interested in a long time, Cambodia. One starless night, Janie's childhood was swept away by the terrors of the Khmer Rouge. Exiled from Phnom Penh, Janie and her family were forced to live out in the open, cold, hungry, and under constant surveillance. Each night, people were taken away. Caught up in a political storm which brought starvation to millions, tore families apart, and changed the world forever, Janie lost everyone she loved. 3 decades later, Janie's life in Montreal is unraveling. Haunted by her past, she has abandoned her husband and son and taken refuge in her friendship with the brilliant troubled scientist Hiroji Matsui. In 1970, Hiroji's brother James traveled to Cambodia and fell in love. 5 years later, the Khmer Rouge came to power and James vanished. Brought together by the losses they have endured, Janie and Hiroji find solace in each other, until one strange day, Hiroji disappears. Weaving together the threads of Janie's life, Docks at the Perimeter evokes totalitarianism through the eyes of a little girl and draws a remarkable map of the mind's battle with memory, loss, and the horrors of war. Read Canadian, read Madeleine Thien, Docks at the Perimeter. Yes, a debut novel. And I have picked a debut novel. And this, I didn't know why I picked this actually. No, this is the final novel actually. This is the 5th book and the final book, because I have a 6th one here, but it doesn't check any box. So this one checks a box. This is a debut novel. Timothy Taylor's debut novel, Stanley. So Stanley Park is a beautiful park within the city of Vancouver. And if you look at TripAdvisor, Stanley Park is the most beautiful park in the world. I've been there and it is really very, very beautiful. The story that Timothy Taylor tells in his novel, I think he won the Giller for it, didn't he? At least he was nominated. Vancouver chef Jeremy Papier is becoming known for innovative dishes that highlight local ingredients. His restaurant, the Monkey's Paw Bistro, struggles financially but begins to attract widespread attention and the eye of Dante Beale, owner of a largely successful coffeehouse chain, Dante's Inferno. Isn't that beautiful? While Jeremy's father, an eccentric anthropologist, moves into the lush depths of Stanley Park to better acquaint himself with the homeless and their daily struggles for food and shelter, Jeremy's elaborate financial kite begins to plunge and he's forced to sell to Dante. As Dante's employee, Jeremy plans a menu for opening night that will be the greatest culinary statement he's ever made, one that unites the homeless with high foodie society in a paparazzi-soaked celebration of local splendor. That sounds incredible. It has been on my my shelves ever since, and I picked it for the ReadEHthon, and this is beautiful. It also is published, in Canada. It says Vintage Canada on the back, and this paperback edition that I actually bought in the United Kingdom was published by Vintage Canada in 2001. Stanley Park by Timothy Taylor. It was printed in the United States. We can... That's okay. So that is what I plan for the ReadEHthon. Usually people have to hold up stacks of books into the camera and smile. And so I'm trying to do that. Look. I might make this a thumbnail. Or this way. This is my pile for the ReadEHthon. And I'm on it. On the bus. Thank you very much. Thanks to Sean the Book Maniac, who actually was the one who notified me because I follow his channel. A great channel you should all follow. I link to all the channels down below, to Sean's channel and to all the channels that the 8 people are hosting, who are hosting the ReadEHthon, have on BookTube, and also to the blog post that Kayla from Books and Lala has made, where everything is explained in depth. This was everything about the ReadEHthon. It was a long video again. I'm doing long videos. And I am grateful that you watched this. And I hope that you also pick a Canadian book. Which was your best Canadian read ever? Send me a comment down below. Or have you ever been to Canada, to more than one province if you're not Canadian? Interesting questions. Yes. That was it. Thank you very much for watching, and have a beautiful evening wherever you are. Have a beautiful day wherever you are, and a beautiful morning whenever you watch this. Thank you very much. Be safe, and bye.